have been, for the last 15 years, I have been treating myself like a little bit of a guinea pig and doing what I like to think of as science experiments involving lots of different physical activities, diet, exercise, nutrition, meditation, philosophy, even lifestyle types of things to find out. Well, number one, I've always had a lot of energy, and I've always been a little bit, ADD, and so a lot of this was kind of in an effort to control that energy, so that it wasn't so, sometimes destructive, sometimes just frustrating, and anyways, it's kind of a way of trying to unlock and harness my full potential. So a lot of self-help things, a lot of that type of stuff. I pushed myself pretty far on a lot of different things, and most recently I discovered the Wim Hof method, which is pretty extreme, more so than I would say marathoning, more so than hot yoga. It's about 10 times more intense than hot yoga. And when you go into a hot room, you might feel like you're going to die, but you feel like you're going to die in about 15 minutes. When you jump into a pond of ice water, you feel like you're going to die in about 4 seconds. And in both of the disciplines, though, the practice is very similar. It's learning how to relax in situations of extreme stress. And stress is a concept in our modern culture that it's like a bad word. Everyone's got too much stress, so I feel, I'm all stressed out. But stress is related implicitly in life itself. Entropy, life is trying to overcome entropy, and entropy is always putting stress on us as a living being. And so from the atmospheric pressure that's like 12.8 pounds per square inch that's pushing on us all the time, to the different elements, the radiation that we're exposed to, all of the different things that our bodies are battling to maintain this form of order that is our self, our bodies and our minds. It's stress every day, and dealing with that stress and being able to manage it is how we get stronger and grow and thrive. When stress gets too intense, it is painful, and so even something that is not very stressful at first can become very stressful later, like the idea that the Chinese water torture, which they would drip a thing of water on your forehead, and it's like, oh, a little thing of water dripping on your forehead doesn't hurt. After a couple hours of it, it feels like a hammer. And so these different things that are minor stresses can become majorly painful if there's no relief from them. And so the process of strengthening our body and our minds is the process of applying stress and then relieving the stress and relaxing and allowing our body to gain the benefits of it. And as we do that more and more, you push it further and further, and you can do things that you never thought were possible, like run a marathon. Everyone is pretty much capable of doing it, even if it seems totally impossible. And the first time you cross the finish line of a marathon, it changes your perspective of the world around you. It's like all of a sudden, if you're lost in a forest and you have to get 26 miles to safety, you realize that's doable. Like, I can do that. It's even if you're not trained, you know that I did it once, I can do it again. As where if you had never trained for a marathon or run further than 5 miles and you had to go 26, there'd be panic involved, there'd be despair, there'd be all kinds of different things. So applying these forms of stress to our body and our mind, and then gaining the strength from those that comes, it literally expands our consciousness and changes the way we see the world and our relationship in it. With all that being said, I pushed myself pretty far. Wim Hof had 26 world records until December of last year when I picked one off. I ran the fastest half marathon barefoot on snow. I also was the first person to summit Mauna Kea in Hawaii, 42 miles from the Pacific Ocean, 13,808 feet barefoot. The Hawaiians were angry about that because there was nobody documented that had done it, none of the natives, so a guy from Colorado came and got that one, which people sent me unhappy letters about. And they were arguing. It was like, there's got to have been a Hawaiian that did this. And I was like, why would they have? I mean, they had sandal technology when the Hawaiians got there. There was no reason to endure that kind of pain. And that one was really painful. Also climbed a 10,000-foot mountain in Colorado in the middle of winter barefoot. And there's a fourth one in there. I can't think of it at the second. But when a lot of my experiments, I didn't really have a goal in mind. But what I found was these different techniques or these different powers that I started to kind of discover within myself. There's a kind of a common theme in them. There are lost evolutionary powers. And they're the powers that we had developed over millions of years of evolution that the creature comforts of modern culture have kind of allowed to atrophy. Everyone can appreciate the logic involved in that. We all can run barefoot. We're all hardwired for that. Shoes didn't come onto the scene until a few thousand years ago. So in only 4 months, you can actually reactivate that. So that walking barefoot, for example, is not difficult or painful at all. I went from the point, when I started barefoot running, I had just run the London Marathon and ran a 3-hour and 3-minute marathon, which was really fast, and I thought for my next one, I don't want to train that hard ever again. It was like, it kind of maxed out. I'd gotten what I'd come for. I realized I maybe could have shaved another 5 or 10 minutes off training hard for another, couple of years, but I wanted a different challenge. And when I started barefoot running, I went from 3-hour marathon condition to not even being able to go 400 yards, like quarter mile, and it was painful. It was at times excruciating breaking through to the next, getting till that point where my feet developed a fat pad underneath, and I went from a grain of sand being uncomfortable to step on to now I can step on fairly sharp rocks about the size of a pea with more or less no discomfort. Take that back. Discomfort's not without pain. You still get the same sensations, but in the process, you're interpreting the pain a lot differently and relaxing. I have a picture in here from when I ran the London Marathon, the Boston Marathon. I did the Boston Marathon barefoot, and it took 5.5 hours. So I went from a 3-hour runner to a 5.5-hour runner, and I tell you, it was genuinely excruciating. Like, people always like to say, oh, you'll never experience the amount of pain that women experience in childbirth. Again, I can't refute that, but I'm gonna guess it's pretty close. This was up there, and this was what I looked like crossing the finish line. I saw the camera, and I was trying to relax into it. I kept my pace down to a point where I crossed it in good spirits. I even smiled for the camera. So you can induce these incredible amounts of stress on your body while maintaining a relaxed and calm state of mind. And if you can do that, that's when it does something for your overall perspective of the world around you. And the thing that I think it does, and this is where this is going to be a little different and a little weird, I think it brings you more in tune with the true nature of time itself. And without trying to explain that, I have a little bit of a thought experiment that goes with it, that science is kind of out at the moment. There's a lot of debate on where in our body do we perceive the passage of time. In other words, what part of our body is responsible for perceiving the passage of time? If I close your eyes and ask you to count for a minute, like without counting, just being quiet and then marking a minute has passed, and you raise your arm, where's the clock in your body that does that? There is there's a lot of debate about that right now. There's no specific part of the brain that they've identified that's responsible for when we know, what time it is. And one thing that they do know, though, is that when we are subjected to pain, that perception of time gets wildly altered. And that's our little science experiment that we're going to do with the paper clips and the Serrano peppers. First, I'm going to have you, I guess I should give you a little more background before we dive into that. But to begin with, we're just going to all do what the experiment that I just...
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
Uh-oh.
How did that happen?
He twisted himself out. Sorry, guys. Couldn't fix it myself.
There we go. There
Thank
you are,
you.
buddy.
Trying to escape.
There you go.
There we
You
go.
good?
Okay.
Let me see this.
Sorry.
Let me make sure he's good. All right. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, baby.
Yeah. So we're gonna all just close our eyes and we're gonna wait for a minute. We're all gonna try to mark how long a minute is. So, and I'm gonna take the list and I'm gonna write down next to everyone's name their time, and then we're going to repeat that experience while subjecting ourselves to a level of discomfort that you think you can handle for a minute. And in other words, if you like spicy food, I got a pepper there, and if you don't like spicy food, we got these paper clips that are they're pretty powerful. So you're going to find a part on your body that you can put it that you think you can wait a minute, can handle for a minute. And if you can't, take it off. But the goal is to mark how long a minute passes in the same state. Try to, with your eyes closed, just wait for a minute and see if you can guess when a minute has passed. Yeah, let's dive into it. Let's do it. All right, I'll take care of that. Let me make sure I've got everyone. Let me make sure. Okay, Candace, who's Candace? You're Candace, Brittany, Jacob, who's Jacob? Oh, you're Jacob.
Come here, Jacob.
Got it. Monty, that's right, Monty, Betsy, Daisuke, is that correct? Daisuke, Betsy, Corey, Evan. All right.
That's Isaiah. He hasn't signed the sheet yet.
Oh, and Isaiah, here.
I was hiding.
Put your, yeah. Go ahead and put your name and email address at the bottom.
Do we get to choose between the clip or the pepper?
Well, you can choose either or, but if you like spicy food, I say go for both.
Alright.
The goal is to induce as much discomfort as you think you can. You don't want to go crazy. We're not trying to have a contest here to see who
The
can.
trick is you can take the clip off. The pepper, you're stuck with it.
Right.
Oh,
Well, I didn't go with the habaneros. A little hotter than the jalapeno.
But if you're a masochist, you might really enjoy it.
Hey,
Well,
sign up.
there's a reason why masochists enjoy what they do. Alright. Okay, let's do it. So, everyone get in a comfortable position and it locked me up there.
You can just swipe up from the bottom.
Take a couple of deep breaths, get yourself in a relaxed state, and we'll start in 5. So you can open your eyes after a minute. So when you think a minute is over, open your eyes and raise your hand, and I'm going to mark down your time. So, and begin.